This is After the Mic, where I unpack last week's LTM pod episode, Just Me, You, and AI. It's got some takes, and I've got thoughts. So sit back, grab a drink, and let's talk marketing. Now, here's the TLDR from last week's LTM episode. We featured Andrew Seidman, who is the COO of Digital Reach. It is a B2B go-to-market agency. He came on to kind of just break down how sales and marketing can actually work together on account-based marketing, not just in theory, but in practice. The big idea is that ABM isn't some fancy new strategy. It's just finally treating high-value accounts like they're worth more than everyone else in your pipeline. He makes the case that before you run a single ad, you should be doubling down on your happiest customers because they're your best source of referrals, warm intros, and future pipeline. He also gets real about why sales and marketing alignment breaks down. It's usually not a strategy problem, it's a compensation problem. And he wraps it all up with a reminder that if your data infrastructure is a mess, none of the rest of it matters anyways. If you haven't listened yet and want to get the full scoop, you can go back and check it out. We'll be here when you get back. All right. So here is how After the Mic works. Each week, I run the episode through AI and have it pull a few takes for us to react to. It's all stuff that we've gone over. I'll walk through each one, give you what my thoughts are, and well, I'll either agree or we'll agree to disagree. Now, remember, this is being pulled from AI that's being pulled directly from the episode itself. I have so much respect for every single one of my guests, and I think that having an open conversation is the best way for all of us to grow. So let's get started with the first AI takeaway from Andrew's episode is your best ABM move isn't running better ads, it's calling your happiest customers. So Andrew argues that the highest close rates and best account access come from word of mouth and social proof, not paid digital channels. Before you invest in advertising infrastructure, you should be deepening relationships with existing advocates who are likely to change jobs into your next ICP account. Now that's AI's summary of what it pulled as the key takeaway. I'm going to pause there. What are your thoughts already? Is it percolating? A thought is percolating. From his lips to your ears, this is what Andrew said during the podcast. He said, I think we really get dazzled by digital channels, and I think we kind of undervalue the highest close rates. The best access all comes from word of mouth and social proof. All right. My take is that it's a small world, even though it can feel so big. I am a believer in relationships. So while on the surface, I totally agree that calling your happiest customers is better than running a digital ad, ABM or not. What I think the AI missed is that ABM is not a one-size-fits-all marketing tactic. Account-based marketing is at its core about reaching, engaging, and converting those high-value accounts. There are 3 different types of just sort of tactics under ABM. There's like the one-to-one, the one-to-few, the one-to-many. What Andrew was talking about is really strategic ABM, which is more of like the one-to-one. It is, I know this client so well, this is what they need. It's an intimate way to execute marketing. And not to sound salacious about it, but it's true. Because of that, it's also the reason that sales and marketing have to be in concert with one another. The one to few is taking one step back from it and looking at common firmographics and sort of attributes and marketing to those. And of course, the one-to-many is even one further step back. There are different tactics for all, but for strategic, relationship is at the heart. And for that reason, my dear AI chatbot friend, I agree with you. This to me is a clear takeaway from last week's episode. AI's takeaway number 2 from last week's podcast with Andrew. Sales incentives not strategy disagreements, are the real reason sales and marketing can't align on ICP. A little bit more on that. Andrew points out that the salespeople resist ABM's tiered account approach because their commissions are structured around volume metrics like meetings booked, not account quality. Until you change how sales gets paid, no ICP framework or alignment workshop will stick. Now, AI selected this particular takeaway from this episode. From his lips to your ears, this is what Andrew says. This is usually a function of what I would describe as entrenched sales incentives. If you're going to get salespeople to get online with what is best for the companies to target, it needs to be in line with their sales incentives. All right, here is my take. This one is actually kind of easy for me. Agree to disagree. Now, I'm not usually team sales team, which I know probably sounds bad. I love the sales team, but I think that we all know kind of the friction that happens between sales and marketing. But I have to be honest with this one. While yes, they are chasing incentives, it is how they get paid after all. I think it's not really giving the sales team enough credit. The benefit of identifying ICP, I think, serves them and directly correlates with them getting their kind of Jerry Maguire moment of show me the money. It's quality, not quantity. Any day of the week, any salesperson I've worked with would take 5 solidly aligned leads over 50 leads that were, I don't know, what we would say a shot in the dark. Sales and marketing collaboration really requires a give and take from both sides. And if you're in an organization where you feel like they aren't, one side isn't meeting in the middle. Where I see the reason for a lack of alignment on ICP between sales and marketing is more of an indication of leadership misalignment. Oof, that one's a hot take, huh? If from the top, there isn't a clear indicator of who we're going after and that there isn't the data to support it, you are going to get friction. So, for example, if your leadership says we want to go after small businesses that have been around for less than 5 years, who bring in X dollars in revenue a year, because our internal data says that where that's kind of where our sweet spot is, that's spot on CAC and LTV is, and market maps tell us that this is an area that is not only giving us money now, but and money and revenue now, it's going to grow. Well, then we've got something to work with, and sales and marketing can hone in on that. Who are the people in those places? Now, I just threw out a ton of acronyms, like I minored in corporate jargon, but know this, long story short, I agree to disagree. Incentives are not where misalignment on ICP comes from. Now, the final takeaway from AI on Andrew's episode. Spending millions on ads while ignoring your attribution infrastructure is one of the most expensive mistakes in B2B marketing. A little bit more on that. Andrew describes a client spending millions per month on advertising who can't trace which accounts are actually being influenced. And it would only cost $100K to fix. The ROI argument is obvious, yet companies consistently deprioritize data infrastructure because the value is abstract and hard to visualize. Noodle on that one. Now, from his lips to your ears, this is how Andrew describes it. They can't really tell who's being influenced by their advertising, even though they're spending a couple million on it, and it could cost them $100K for us to go in and fix all of it. Those insights would lead to better choices that would almost certainly recoup their $100K extremely fast. My take is, this is a no-brainer. I agree. Say it louder so that people in the back can hear you. This is so common. It's actually kind of crazy. As a marketer, you should always be chasing attribution. And if you can't attribute it, then why are you doing it? And attribution isn't just for leads. It's for everything that you're doing. Before I go down too deep this rabbit hole of mine of attribution, let's take a step back. Let's peel back the onion. Have a goal. What are you trying to accomplish with your digital ads? Is it more top of funnel leads? Is it awareness of your brand? Is it email signups or content downloads? What do you want to get out of your ads? From there, determine how you're going to accomplish that from a digital ad perspective. Is it SEM? Is it programmatic and endemic webinars? How much are you going to spend, and how are you going to show that you've accomplished your goal? And how can you attribute traffic, leads, signups, and content downloads to that thing you said that you were going to do? Now, these all seem like valid and reasonable questions. To me, it feels like gambling if you're not even asking all those questions and tracking your dollars. Now, if you're a gambler, maybe you're okay with the pray and spray approach. But as a strategic thinker, you need to be able to track how you're spending your money. And as a marketer, if you can't prove business impact of what you spend, you are going to be the first group to be on that chopping block. It is an expensive mistake because you don't get that money back that you're putting out there. But like I always say about stuff like infrastructure and attribution, it's not sexy. It's behind the walls. It's the electricity and the plumbing in a house. You can't see it, but boy, do you care if you have to turn the light switch on in order to flush the toilet. So get your house set up correctly from the beginning, my friends. Hard agree from me here with this takeaway. What I think the AI missed that should have made the list, though, is to not forget what you say to your ICP. What you say to your ICP is just as important as identifying them. The knowledge bomb that Andrew threw in that I think is one of the most valuable tips is his keystone assets. First, he determines what he's going to say and to who. Very important, because you're going to have different cohorts. You're going to have different groups, right? Then he has a set of roughly 6 keystone assets. That's what he called them. Keystone assets per his cohort or group he's targeting, right? So the breakdown of those keystone assets are 1 to 2 videos for the top of the funnel, 1 to 2 high value assets like guides or instructional content for the middle of the funnel, and 1 to 2 assets associated with the core offer. It's really kind of a way to prove value at a very little cost or low cost to the customer, right? So it doesn't really cost them anything to sort of convert at this point, right? So what I'm talking about here is, I believe the example he gave was a go-to-market roadmap audit. A high value asset that you can leverage for those leads, and it helps you move them from the top to the bottom to actually convert to dollars. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of the Let's Talk Marketing podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the Let's Talk Marketing podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and leave us a review. 5 stars goes a really long way to helping others find the podcast. Join me next week for another complete episode of the Let's Talk Marketing podcast.